thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Hi, Harjit. First of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity to have a conversation about auto real estate market, and really appreciate that. I'm fantastic. How are you doing today?
Fantastic too. Amazing. I'm loving it. So let's start talking about a little bit your journey first, because I was literally intrigued to learn that you left your software engineering job to become a real estate agent. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so basically, talking about me, I came as an international student to this country. I was in Montreal doing my software engineering, and then I had opportunity to get a job while I was studying there, and then I had two job offers, and one in Toronto, one was in Ottawa. But I literally want to move towards Ottawa because I have explored that city and stuff like that, and that's all it's all started with, right? I was because when you came as a student, the first and important thing is to get the permanent residency, right? And in order to get this point, you need a Canadian job. And where I got a software job in a software engineer, and I did like almost 2.5 years worked in software engineer, and I got a PR. And after that, I was not really enjoying, my day was like, oh, again, the same thing and stuff like that. And then talk to myself what I love doing it, right? Then it comes to real estate because I come from a real estate family where mom and dad has been hustling in their life. Like I've grown up seeing those people, right, talking about real estate all the times. And I've been helping my dad since grade 10 in all the rent collection. We have a couple of rental properties back in India, right? So that's all how it started. Then I started with my course, right? And I did my course at least in I think in 1 year, and then that's how it all started. And then I started doing part-time initially, like for the 4 to 5 months. Then I got started busy with the stuff, and I was not able to basically put my time out there. So I thought to give a full-time effort to this job, and it's been 2 years and 7 months. So no regrets. I'm just thankful to my decision that I took, and here we go.
Perfect. And rest is history.
Yes, 100%.
Amazing. Talking about real estate, tell me, how do you see the real estate market today in Canada, and how has it changed within last 5 to 7 years, I would say?
If we talk particularly about Ottawa real estate market over the past 5 to 7 years, it's really been a story of three different chapters, right? If I talk about the first thing, it's the pandemic surge. When the pandemic hits, the interest rates were dropped to historic lows and demand was absolutely exploded, right? And inventory was tight, and buyers were competing against each other. In just 1 year, Ottawa average home prices jumped from 440 in 2019 to 525 by the end of 2020. So that's almost a 20% increase in a very short window, right? And when we touched down 2021, we were pushing even more higher, and the average price was around mid 500s. It was completely a true seller's market. I see the townhomes being selling for almost $1 million, and that was a crazy, insane market, right? And talking about the other phase, like when I talk about 22 to 2023, like we started to see the brakes being applied, interest rate rose quickly, affordability become a real challenge, and the rapid growth basically slowed down, right? And prices didn't collapse though, but the market shifted to other way. And that's how it was the time period between 2022 to 2023. Now, if we talk about 2023 to 2025, its market has been stabilized, right? We are seeing moderate steady growth instead of double digit spikes, right? Inventory has increased, given buyers more like options in terms of resale versus pre-construction. And now there is a new HST debate policy of 5% that been given to the first time home buyers, although it has not been implemented yet, like how it's going to be working out. But yeah, things has changed. Like there's a lot of inventory out on the market. Like there's a lot of options for the buyers, and the prices has dropped significantly. Not only the resale market, but also the rental market has dropped significantly. Like I see the townhomes being rented now for 2,500, which was not the case because earlier it was rented for like $2,900, right? So this is basically a bit of overview about the market, how it has turned down in the last 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you talked about first time home buyers. So are those your prime clients, or who is your client?
So basically, for me, the first-time clients are the people who basically have their jobs. They recently got their permanent residency. They have a good job and salary. Like instead of renting like for 24, $2,500, it does make for sense for them to buy a home. Depending, we have to do their financial checkup from neck up, right? What does mean is basically we need to make sure what even it makes sense for them to buy, because if you're earning around $100 a monthly, I would not have a 40 to 45% expense, not more than that expense towards the home. Because if you're basically putting that much amount of money towards the home, it's kind of a poor debt, right? And you won't be able to enjoy your life, right? So that's very much important to make sure you are into your budget and you're confident and you're comfortable. You have your home at the same time you're enjoying your life as well, because that's very much important. And I have seen people in the past that have stretched their budget and bought a bigger homes, and now they are in a trouble, right? So that's something it's really need to be concentrated on.
Hmm. Interesting. I was thinking on the lines of first time home buyers, considering that, okay, for example, today I am ready to buy a house and I knock on your doors. What's the process? Like, walk me through what do I do after I reach out to a real estate agent?
Exactly. So see, every real estate agent has a different model of doing the business, right? I can just tell from my perspective is whenever someone comes to me to buy a home, firstly thing is to make sure about their financial stability, right? How much financial stable they are in terms of how much money they want to put towards the home. And even after the expenses, like it's not only the mortgage, we need to take in consideration the property taxes, then we need to take in consideration the utilities, which is also applicable in case you're renting the home. So we can avoid those things. But at the same time, you need a landlord insurance. But even while renting, you still need a tenant insurance. So most important thing is your mortgage plus your property tax. You need to take in consideration very important things, right? And then financial checkup with NECUP. We want the second question is asking the right questions to the buyer. Like you need to ask the buyers like what do you want to accomplish with this purchase, like what do you want to do with this investment? Do you want to keep it for 5 years? Do you want to keep it for 10 years? Like those are the important things. And third thing is we need to talk about their job employments, where they work, depend, and based on those things like schools, neighborhoods, we need to select their desired neighborhoods. And then we need to start with the home search, and then let's go with the offer process, the negotiation, inspection, and then that's how it's going to final closing, right? But the first two steps are very important, which is financial checkup from the NICUP, and the second thing is what they want to accomplish with this purchase. So these things are very much important in real estate.
Interesting. You talked about finances. I have a follow up question. What do you consider that sweet number? For example, if today I'm earning $1,000 a month, what is that sweet number that I can put towards house if I have to buy a house?
Not more than 40 to 45%, I would say. So like if you're putting more than that, then you are just putting a bad debt on you, right? Because it does not make sense to put more than 45% towards the home in terms of total income. So that's where a lot of people lack. They push themselves and they are earning $10,000 and $6,000 they're putting towards the home. So I'm not sure how they're going to enjoy their life, because there is other expenses too. You have a car to go, you have your groceries to do, you have your internet bills, then you have your other things to do, right? So it just really need to be considered during that time.
Fair enough. Besides finances, what should one do homework for before going to buy a house? Like,
Well, these days, like it's completely AI, right? Everything is accessible to the buyers, and buyers these days are so well educated. And I feel so proud with working with those buyers, because they have all the information available, right? But they need to have someone backing up. That's where we come into making sure they're taking the right decision. So research is very much important. And whenever you're buying something, you need to look into the comparables, right? What the similar properties been selling in that particular neighborhood, so that make sure that you're not basically overpaying things, because you don't know about the market. And giving and coming next years few years are tough for Canadian economy, because we have been seeing the gradual decrease in the prices from the last few years, right? So comparables, market research, and bringing the value on the table is very important thing in real estate.
You talked about researching how we can do that. Just search on Google or AI, like just.
Google, there are a lot of third-party applications like, you can look around the neighborhoods, you can look for the red fin, like you have the purchase price and the sold price accessible to the House Sigma app, which is very much accessible to everyone. But sometimes the AI gives very wrong information about the average price of that particular home, which the thing we do I didn't like it. That's where we come in and giving the our clients an actual picture about the offer pricing, or maybe someone who wants to sell their home, like setting up the right price at the right time is very much important. So that's the duty of a real estate agent.
Hmm, interesting. Now, for say I came to you, you explained me the process, and we are going to look for our first house. We open the doors. What are few things that you would like your buyers to
First
look?
off, important thing is the layout, because I always talk to my buyers, right? See, you didn't like the color, you can change it. You didn't like the tiles, it's okay to change it later on, because those things are like cosmetics. The most important thing is the layout that you cannot change, right? Whenever you're visiting property, make sure you are feeling comfortable, like feel the home that you can live with your family. Like that's very much important, right? And coming, like there are other things like foundation cracks and all those stuff, any leakage, mold, like all those things are secondary. Like it's very important, like it's not that I'm denying on those things, but first and the important thing is the layout, because that's basically reach to the second point to check for the other things at the same time.
Yeah, interesting. Um, at the same time, what are few red flags that you think that the first home buyer should be what
So
should?
there is red flags always, right? Like because you're putting a whole, like of your lifetime, money into this, right? If I am a buyer, I will have a red flag at every point of time, right? Every step I would have red flag, right? To make sure you're doing your due diligence. I know you can rely on real estate agent, but do your research too, because this is very much important in today's market. I've been seeing people like buying home just over the phone and stuff like that, and don't do those things, right? Whenever you're buying any home in any particular city, make sure you're working with the local realtor that's giving you all the insights about the market, right? For example, in Ottawa, I have seen people bought a home for 1.4, $1.5 million in Barhaven location, right? But those homes are not even worth 999, 950 in today's market. Like that's basically half a million loss from that point, right? And most of the buyers have bought those homes with the people like not even residing in the city, and their agents are sitting outside the city, like they don't know anything about the market, and they are just selling like a crazy.
So coming back to the same point that researching.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's very much important. You need to see the appreciation from the last 5 years graph in that particular neighborhoods, and you have all those data resources available. Like all the agent have access to the MLS system. You can go through everything.
Hmm. You talked about houses in Ottawa. Tell me what kind of houses nowadays are popular in Ottawa.
So in Ottawa, you can start like a very low, like 299. You are still able to get one bedroom condo. Like this is a great starter point for someone who wants to just put up the step into the real estate. But townhomes are very much popular because it's a standard three bedroom, three bathroom. Like it's a very much a good option for a family of a husband, wife, or maybe one or two kid. Like it's pretty much good. And then, the first home, it's never going to be your last home. So, always put your first step into real estate where you feel comfortable, because you can always trade in those homes, and you can always upsize yourself at any point of time.
You said you have been in industry for how long?
It's been, if I say, it's been 2 years and almost 9 months. I'm completing 2 years
Close,
very soon. So it's been 3 years. Yeah,
close to
almost.
years. Interesting. And how many houses have you sold? Like if you remember
So
on top.
first year, I think I did over 40 transactions. The second year was 60 transactions, and the I think I have almost have a growth of almost 100% so far in my last 3 years of my business. It's all about bringing the value and being honest to your clients, and the service, right? And I'm always available 24/7 for my clients, and that's the kind of value you want to bring into real estate if you have to work in this field.
Yeah, yeah, and that's incredible numbers. So one thing that I'm interested to know is, what do you think people usually tend to make mistake when they are buying their home for the first time? I've
First
noticed.
thing is people stretch themselves, like, if their affordability is like 400, 500, they always try to get something in 600. And that's the one of the biggest mistake I found, like, with the buyers. Don't stretch your budget. Like, I know your mortgage affordability is 600, but doesn't mean that you should buy that home for 600, because you need to make sure about that. How about if the market goes other way around, if the interest rates gets higher and stuff like that, you still have some buffers. So always make your numbers around 40 to 45%, as I said you before. So that is very much important. The second thing is, people always put a lot of money towards the upgrade, especially when they buy a pre-construction home. I always tell to my clients, your first home, it's never going to be your last final home, right? So you always have the options to upgrade those things. So do minimal. And because I have seen people spending 100K over the upgrades, but when they sell their home, they don't get the same price. So it doesn't make sense to put so much money into the upgrades. And then, because if it's final home, no problem, you can do what you like, because you know that you're going to be living in that home for forever, right? So this is the things that we need to consider, right? And some people thinks, oh, we're gonna, for example, for buying a pre-construction home, some people directly approach the builders and, oh, we're gonna get a good deal. But that's not the case. Always make sure, whether it's a pre-construction or a resale homes, always have a agent along with you, and especially do your proper research with whom you're working, how many homes they have sold, what's their reviews looks like, and talk to the people who have worked with them in the past. So if you basically follows all three steps, you're never gonna lose money in real estate.
But what do you, if you have to compare the real estate market here in Canada, how do you see real estate as an investment, like in Canada?
As an investment, it's a good property, right? It's a good thing to invest. I love real estate. I always invest in the real estate, provided you have your numbers correct for the investment. Because whenever you talk about investment, you should have at least a down payment of 20 or 30% towards the investment property. Where some people buy investment property and just they put 15% or 5% or 10% down, which doesn't make any sense to get to buy that investment property, because you're on a negative cash flow, right? Because if you see the growth of real estate in Canada overall, it's like a appreciation of 4 to 5%. If we exclude the pandemic time, right? Because pandemic time, it was not a real estate; it was completely a gamble, right? So we need to exclude that, right? So real estate always will grow, but Canada is like little different, because it depends upon a lot of other factors, talking about immigration, their immigration policies, their basically relationship with the American, right? That Trump is there, like tariffs going on and stuff like that. So it's very different than India, because in India, like, I have always seen a growth in the real estate, and it's completely a different game towards India if you compare with Canada.
Do you always see real estate as an asset in Canada?
100%, it's always an asset, for provided you have your numbers on the table, like what's the cap rate, what's the positive cash flow. Like, there's a lot of things that needs to be taken care of, and the right guidance is very much important if you're particularly talking about an investment in real estate in Canada.
Hmm, interesting. When we talk about real estate, it's not only buyers, it's also sellers. So there's two
100%.
parties involved. Talking from the seller's point of view, because I want to make this conversation holistic, what do you think that one thing that seller usually miscalculate when listing their home?
Yes, exactly. That's very much important. That's very important question, and I will love to answer this. Right, I've been working with many sellers right now at this point of time. The very important thing is the listing it at the right price is very much important, right? That's where people made a mistake when they list their property at the higher price, and then it stays on the market for like forever. And then other people that comes in to see the property, once you drop the price, they might be thinking, oh, there was something wrong with the home and stuff like that, right? So it's very much important to list your home at the right price at the right time from the beginning. The second thing people made mistake is always looking for a cheap brokerages or cheap realtor, like, cutting the corners, cutting the commission, right? So one thing I learned in my life is cheap is not good, good is not cheap, right? So when you work with a realtor who's bringing the effort, you're doing the presentation, you're doing the staging, doing the marketing ads, right, doing the door knocking, right? So it counts, because in this type of market, sellers need the realtors the most, who are hustling day and night for them to sell their listings, because it's very easy to work with the buyers these days, because buyers are the king of the market, right? Because they have options, they can negotiate the things with the sellers. But at this point of time, realtors is playing a very important roles with the seller's perspective. So these are the very important things that we need to be consideration, like if we're planning to sell home in any future.
Hmm. We'll take this topic forward, but I like the way you said cheap is not good and good is not.
100%, 100%. I've learned in my life, right? If you find someone like who's basically cutting the commission, obviously the service will not be there, right? Because no one gonna work for free, right? That's that, right? Is everyone's time is important, right? So you need to make sure with whom you are working. Again, I'm saying the same thing, right? So this is very much important.
Interesting. Let's hypothetically talk about selling a house. So, for example, if I have a house today, I
Yep.
want to sell it quickly. How can I list it without losing its value? Because usually, when I have to list a house quickly and when I have to sell it quickly, I have to compromise on the value. So, how can I not lose its value and still make?
Exactly. If the time is a sense in real estate, like if you have to sell in short period of time, always list it little lower. When I say little lower, doesn't mean you have to sell it at a little lower price. The you What it means is basically when you list it little lower, you'll have a more of basically interest from the buyers. And even two, three buyers came in, if they're competing between each other, obviously you will get the fair market value of your home for sure. And we have been doing it. Like people say, like we sold a home over asking like 40,000, $50,000. It's basically not over asking, basically technically, but yeah, it's over asking for sure, because they listed it low, right? That's where they generate multiple interest. And two, three buyers came in, and they know, they did their research, they did the comparables, and they gave more price based on that value, because they have listed it already at a low price. So here's the game changer in the selling perspective.
Hmm. Talking to you, I realized that negotiation is important part of your job. What other skills do you think that a real estate agent must have?
Well, it's a real estate agent. They need to be always motivated, because this is basically, there's no boss over there, right? You can easily stay at home, eat popcorn, watching Netflix all the time. But if you're in a real estate, you need to show up every day, Monday to Sunday. I've been working 15 to 17 hours every day since my I started my journey, right? Because you got to hustle, because the competition is tough. There's a lot of agents out in the market. You need to be the best, right? So you need a hustler attitude, always available, always go to on the run, attitude, and always, answering the calls, replying to your clients, and making sure they are feeling comfortable throughout the process. So this is very much important if you want to be a real estate agent, right? For sure.
I was just curious to know, have you been a part of a deal where you thought you will close, but eventually the deal fell apart due to some unexpected reason? And how
Yes,
did
yes, a lot of times it happens, right? We came across this situation almost every week, like, because the market is like that right now at this point of time, where people have a lot of options. So, for example, if the buyer came across one property, they offered, right, and they are in conditional time period, right? But in the meantime, there pops another property, and where my buyers say, "Oh, I want to see that property as well," right? As the agent, we can't say no, right? Because we are still in conditional time, and that's how it happens sometimes. And sometimes condition don't fulfill, like you think that you're going to get approved for certain price, and then you don't get approval from the bank and stuff like that. Always deal fell through. The third reason might be an inspection, so that we are not satisfied with the inspection. We came across the foundation crack, we came across any mold issues, right? Like these are basically the deal breakers, like you came across throughout our every week journey.
Yeah. How do you handle your emotions during that?
Well, it's okay. It's completely fine, right? Because you're working for your best interest for the buyer. I have a buyer with whom I have been working for a year and a half. Like, it's not going to happen that, oh, someone is working with you, because it's all about relationship. It's all about pipeline, right? Like, someone came across you to just discuss about home doesn't mean they're going to buy right now. It just, you need to add a value every day, every week to them, right? So that they are connected with you, they are with your pipeline, they are getting all the updates from you about the market, right? So I have a people like with I have worked in the past and I've sold the home like in 2 years. So that's completely all right. That's our journey, right? That's how business is. Nothing gonna click right away. Like, that's not how it works in the business.
Interesting. Well, we are towards the end of the podcast. But last question, I guess, here is, do you have any tips for someone who is hoping to become a real estate agent?
Percent. The tip is, I would say, like, I know a lot of people start part time. I also started part time. I did it part time for like 7 to 8 months. The moment you replace your income, just move full time. Just don't wait for it. Just don't just stretch yourself on both the things, because if you are successful in like 7 to 8 months, you can do really a great job in that. Just get out from the comfort zone. And I think I took 8 months to come out from my comfort zone, because the first month like left my job, I was not comfortable. I was feeling so nervous what's going to happen, but then my family supported me, everyone supported me throughout, my friends and all those people, like, so here I am, right? So I don't have any 9 to 5 job now anymore. I do just real estate 15 to 17 hours 7 days a week, like, doing this business. So that's very much important. And don't take it as a normal, like side hustle. It's not a side hustle at all, because you got to bring the value. Like, recently, I had helped my buyer where we secured a 50 feet detached lot in Longfields community for like $710,000. That's a crazy insane price, because townhomes are selling for that price. Because I every day I spend 2 to 3 hours on MLS. Like, I know what property came to market, what is the fair market value. Then we know, like, to which buyer to contact based on that property, right? That's how it works, right? If you're not bringing that value, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Hmm. Interesting. Perfect. There's some time crunch, but I really loved this conversation with you, Yograj. It was really insightful.
Thank you, Harjit, for giving me an opportunity, and like, it's really a great conversation, and I hope this conversation brings a lot of value to the people out in the market, and especially for someone who's basically started with a real estate journey, or someone who is on the process of become a real estate agent. You can do everything you want, right? I've been doing it. Like, the wheel has already been invented, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, we just need to have some good mentors, follow some good people, like how they are doing their business. We just need to follow the approach, and that's it. And nothing can stop you from doing what you want to do.
Love it. And I hope this information helps someone in making calculated decisions.
100%.
They are hoping to buy a house soon.
If someone is ready to buy a home in Ottawa and surrounding areas, I always say visit yograjsingh.ca and call me anytime at 613-890-2641. I can guarantee you I have a lot of value that I can offer you as a real estate agent. And even in this type of market, you can still make money.
Perfect. I wish you the best on building a great brokerage and hope to keep in touch. Talk
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you so much.